The Butt Kicker Gamer 2. What you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Ever witnessed someone so fast on track you doubt you could ever be on their level? The mission of Advanced Motorsports is to demonstrate the speed is achievable for everyone. With the expertise of some of the best sim drivers in North America, we are set to release free content on social media and comprehensive guides on our website. For those seeking the ultimate experience, our Advanced Motorsport Institute and personalized coaching sessions are the way to go. No matter your level of experience, we invite you to follow us on our social media to learn to be fast.
Ready to start another great race in the Precision Racing League. Green flag flies, we're underway. Side by side, door-to-door contact. Incredible action here in the PRL. And they come together. After all the fighting, it ends in tears.
Well, here we are at the end of our 9-week season, and we're ready to crown a champion in the inaugural season of the Precision Racing League Super Formula Series. What a championship this has been. Some of the best racing that I've seen in quite some time when it comes to open wheelers. And we go to none other than the Circuit of the Americas to cap off this inaugural season here on RaceSpotTV. It's me, Reese Gardner, with Mark Kalin alongside me in the comms box. Dustin Ollis is pressing all of the buttons behind the scenes. Mark, really happy to see COTA here on the schedule to end off this season. It's one of the premier circuits in America, let alone the world, and perfect for these cars.
Perfect for these cars. That is a fact, and it's also fitting that it should happen right here in America at Memorial Day weekend, just a couple days away. So with that in mind, thank you to all you veterans out there watching, racing, whatever you're doing. We appreciate you here in the States, and these Super Formula drivers appreciate you as well. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to be on track to do this thing. So thank you to all you all out there watching, and these guys are going to put on a show for you tonight.
Indeed, certainly hoping that will be the case, but should be no surprise that there'll be very interesting action at the Circuit of the Americas for this season's calendar. We've run the gamut of fantastic tracks around the globe. We started in the United States at Road Atlanta. We went to Canada, then Japan, then over to Europe. We went to Italy, Hungary, Spain, and Portugal. Back to Japan for round 8 at Suzuka, and now we are in Texas for what will surely be a big race to end this season's championship. In terms of the standings, yeah, it's going to be a big race for Michael Diaz. He is going to lead the pro standings. We'll look at the AM standings first, though. Jake Vasconcelos, he hasn't got much over Christian Jasper. Cristobal Valenzuela is not in the server from what I can see, so Christian Jasper might just be able to hold on to second in the AM Drivers' Championship, but he's only 12 points behind Vasconcelos, Mark. If Vasconcelos has a bad result, Christian Jasper might take it in the final round.
Yeah, there's definitely a shot. Only 12 points separating the two. And not to correct you, but Cristobal did just connect to the session, so he is here and ready to put in a qualifying lap. However, not sure how much practice he put in, but it's going to be a tight battle for those three regardless.
Certainly is. Can't count out Steve Baker either, because he's in the session and is the fastest of the AM class. Here's the pro standings. Michael Diaz maintaining his record so far of finishing on the podium at every single round. He enjoys a 39-point lead over David Sirah, who won the previous round at Suzuka. Boris Ovando only 4 points behind, though. Let's see what Ovando will be able to do with potentially a good lap in qualifying. Only 1 point separating Pablo Valenzuela Uribe and J.R. Williams. Andres Espinosa, quite a few points adrift there in 6th. If we look at the combined standings, we will see that Espinosa has got the top 2 in AM ahead of him. Cristobal Valenzuela and Steve Baker rounding out the overall top 10 in this series. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how these standings shake out at the end of the round.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting fight all race long. The closest battle being for 8th, 9th, and 10th, with only a couple points separating each of those drivers. Up at the top, though, with the pro drivers, it's pretty much all written in stone for Michael Diaz. All he needs to do is take the green flag, and the championship will be his. The fight for second, though, between David Sirah and J.R. Williams, Boris Ovando, is going to be intense.
It absolutely is. Well, Precision Racing Esports Blue, which Ovando and Diaz constitute, has already taken the team's title with a good finish at Suzuka. Lavoie Motorsport in second spot ahead of SRTE White. So David Sirah and Alex Guillon have put on a great fight over J.R. Williams and Andres Espinosa in the SRTE White team. I'm only seeing one. Sirah and Guillon are both in the server, so let's see what SRTE White can do to overcome them for second place. This has certainly been an incredible season in PRL Super Formula, and it is brought to you by many great sponsors here at the Precision Racing League, a whole roster of them, which we start with Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminium profile racing simulation cockpits available on the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision5 coupon code at checkout. Go to advancedsimracing.com to check out their products. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, Racebox's button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com. You can also get a 5% discount there using the Precision5 coupon code at checkout. Butt Kicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. Go to moradness.com, also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. MrHedge.co.uk, also on Facebook and Instagram. And finally, get ready to learn to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their socials to become a better driver. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Threads. They are everywhere you would possibly care to look. Well, we will get into the action here, Mark. We are in qualifying at the moment, 10 minutes remaining, 9.5 to be exact. J.R. Williams currently on provisional pole. Looks like Williams has gotten about half a second's worth from practice, and he's been threatening for victories all season. He's been up there with Diaz and Ovando. Luck just hasn't fallen his way, though. He's been involved in incidents. He's made a few mistakes here and there. Maybe COTA will be the round where it finally comes together for him.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. He definitely needs his good fortunes to turn around. The last couple of weeks have been heartbreaking for him, to say the least, with him getting tagged from behind 2 races ago and last week with a little bit of a self-spin at Suzuka, causing him to drop in the standings away from this championship fight. But JR is one of the stronger drivers in the field, definitely top 3 or 4 drivers in the field. So looking forward to him to have a comeback. As we currently show you Pablo Valenzuela, who has been really strong as of late. And now currently Brett Thurman coming through the S's, weaving back and forth. It's a beautiful section of track there, Reese.
Oh yeah, the S's here at COTA, the most iconic part of this circuit for my money. Brett Thurman only needs to gain 1/10 of a second plus 1,000th to be equal on times with Alex Guyon for the AM class pole position. It's certainly going to be an interesting run for him. The SRTE Blue cars have shown up in the late season as proper contenders for top 5, so I'm interested to see what Thurman and his teammate can get up to, coming down the long straight into the heaviest braking zone on the track, slowing all the way down for this very slow stadium section, which I think is going to be one of the places we see the most action tonight.
Yeah, definitely one of the heaviest passing zones on the circuit, coming into one of 2 different hairpins on the track. That's probably where we're going to see most of our push-to-pass options as well, because it gets a little too narrow and too technical in some of the other sections of the track to be able to pull off a pass. It's really only for the extremely brave and bold.
Indeed, that's one of the defining factors of Super Formula cars. As Brett Thurman crosses the line, does not improve on his time. The overtake system is not active in qualifying, but it will be in the race. Drivers get 200 seconds worth of extra power to use whenever they like during the race, but they have to wait 100 seconds in between applications of it. Other than that, they can hold the button down for as long as they want, basically the entirety of the back stretch, if they really want to make some gains on their rivals. Barry Cochran going on board through the final sector. Meanwhile, Cochran's down in 18th position right now. 20 cars have set times in qualifying, and it looks like Cochran is going to pull out of this one and go for the pits. We won't be seeing drivers go into the pits in the race other than to repair damage or serve iRacing issued black flags. There's no refueling in Super Formula, and the tyres can easily make it to the end. Let's see what Syrah can do meanwhile. High off the victory at Suzuka, this Lavoie Motorsport car is looking fast.
Oh, that wasn't just a victory, Reese. That was a good old-fashioned butt whooping. He led from green, dropping the green flag to checkers, had the fastest lap, set the qualifying pole time. I mean, it was all David Sorrell last week.
Absolutely was, and I believe he was on the verge of topping the times in practice as well. He improves to a 43.6, remains in 4th spot, but he's closer to Diaz, Valenzuela, and Williams now. Victor Awad is another one of the drivers who has been in contention for podiums pretty much all season. The results just haven't fallen his way. Victor is currently down in 8th in the Drivers' Championship. Did not start in the first 3 rounds, but whenever he's been in this series, he's managed to be right up there and fighting for podiums. Let's see if he gets any closer to it here at the end of this lap. 1:43.9. That's a pretty good lap from him. It's going to promote him up to 5th spot. So things are looking ever tighter at the front of the qualifying field.
Yeah, top 8 within 1 second, top 9 really within 1 second of each other. Times keep dwindling down as each lap goes on, burning a little more fuel, getting a little more heat in the tires. And Alex Guyon, really the highest amateur driver right now in P6, as we see J.R. Williams going into the uphill turn 1 hairpin. It's another one of those picturesque corners here at the Circuit of the Americas. I've actually had the pleasure of being at this track for the NASCAR's Cup Series inaugural race a few years ago, and it's really an amazing circuit to visit there, Reese. Just watching the cars and how they handle on this track, it's crazy to be able to think that a big old 4,300 or 3,400 pound stock car can maneuver around this track like they do.
Yeah, indeed, to say nothing of how these Super Formula cars take those corners. It almost looked effortless for JR Williams on that lap. This is a huge circuit, this. 5.5 kilometers in length, and if you live in Freedom Unit land, you can do the conversion yourself. It's still a bit too early in the morning for me. But Boris Ovando is the next driver to negotiate this long back straight. And you see those shortcuts to the left, those are the shorter layouts of the circuit. Still got an awful lot of track to work your way around, even if you do decide to go for the west or east layouts. Ovando has fallen down the order in the last few minutes, so let's see if he's got anything in the tank here to try and get into the top two. Remember, he's got second in the championship to worry about. He's only he's only 4 points behind Syrah, and let's see if he can get those 4 points that he needs. Into the final corner he comes. Let's see what the time is. 44.2 is the time to beat, and let's see what he goes through from here. It looks like it is going to be an improvement, but only to 6th spot. So Ovando needs to get something together here in the final couple of minutes.
Still a great improvement, about 0.4 of a second down on his time, as we've currently right on board with Victor Aoud with his personal best of a 43.8, coming down the very long backstretch. Got to pick your braking marker perfectly for this final corner, because it is very easy to overshoot that hairpin.
Oh yeah, very easy indeed, and that brings to mind something we have yet to discuss: off-tracks and incident points. It's very easy to get off-track 1Xs at COTA, especially in the first sector. This is a Formula 1 circuit, so the curbs are wide and flat, and there's not really much indication that you're going beyond track limits, so you've got to be pinpoint accurate with how you place your car. There's obviously plenty of drivers in qualifying that would have had their laps invalidated thanks to that, and they'll have to be careful not to gather too many in the race. If Awad can improve, and he does, up to 4th spot, that puts Syrah down to 5th. Times are getting ever closer here at the end of the session here, Mark. The top 5 only covered by 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, that is extremely tight times right there, with the top 3 all covered by 1/10 of a second between JR, Michael Diaz, and Pablo Valenzuela. And Christian Jasper looking to make his mark. Boris Ovando coming into the last corner now. Can he improve on his 43.8?
Looks like he's going to be
another 0.2.
Oh, it is. Nicely done. That's another spot up into the top 5 for Ovando, but you noticed he was a bit squirrely into the final corner. He will have one more opportunity to improve here. There's still time remaining on the clock. If you start your lap before the time hits 0, you can complete your lap.
Yep, as Blake Ziti crosses the line now, he was just a little bit slower on that lap. He'll have one more chance to make a good lap. The elevation change here in COTA, Reese, it's really, it's subtly deceiving. Like, you can definitely tell going into turn 1 that there's a hill, but the other sections of the track, it just doesn't really feel like a lot of elevation change, at least when you're on track, but you know it's there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This track follows the terrain like not many circuits of its era. Christian Jasper, second in the AM Championship. He'll improve by 1/10 of a second and put himself ahead of championship leader in the AM class, Jake Vasconcelos. So it's going to be an intense battle between Vasconcelos and Jasper to see who ultimately takes the AM title. Guyon comes across the line. That is unfortunately not an improvement for him. Pablo Valenzuela Uribe, can he improve on 3rd spot? And he only improves by a few hundredths of a second. That's not worth an extra position on the grid. He will remain at least 3rd. Hugo Galaz down in 19th right now. He's struggling to get a lap together here. He's about 3 seconds, 4 seconds off the pace, and he will ultimately not improve on that final lap. It's going to be a tough night for Hugo. What can Syrah do coming into the final corner here? Just squirms a little on the exit, and, well, it looks like that wasn't even a valid lap there. Blake Ziti, next driver to cross the line. Is this going to be an improvement on a 44.4? It is. Blake Ziti will get a better time on the board, but it's not enough to overcome Alex Guyon for M-Class pole. And now we wait for our final few cars to come across the line and decide the grid here. Oh, but Valenzuela goes a bit too deep into the penultimate corner, picks up an off track, and that will be lap invalidated right at the end. It looks like Ovando as well has pulled out of his lap. So with all of that, the session time hits 0. And we can go through the grid for this final round of PRL Super Formula, the inaugural season. JR Williams will start on pole for the last round of the season. Michael Diaz, championship leader, alongside him. Pablo Valenzuela Uribe starts alongside Victor Awad, with Boris Angel Ovando on the third row with David Syrah. Starting in 7th will be Frankie Arvello. Alex Guyon, the next Lavoie Motorsport car there in 8th. Blake Ziti will start 2nd in the AM class alongside Jeff Groff. And then we have Steve Baker and Brett Thurman rounding out our top 12.
And in P13 is Christian Jasper, with our current AM points leader, Jake Vasconcelos, in 14th. Kyle Strykart shows up in 15th alongside Evander Jonesyfield, with Cristobal Valenzuela, another championship contender, in 17th, and Neil Alexander in 18th. Our last few spots are going to be Hugo Galaz, Barry Cochran, and Dave Peterson to round out this 21-car field.
Yep, solid field here for the final round. It'll be interesting to see what Peterson can do here. He's obviously had some trouble getting his way around Circuit of the Americas. He's been higher up the field in recent rounds, but we'll keep our eyes peeled on him to see what he can do. I'm really looking forward to the start of this race. It's going to be massive. I can't wait for the run into turn 1. Who will get the best launch off the grid here? That's one thing that many drivers have had trouble with in PRL Super Formula, is getting the cars off the line. Those that tend to nail the start tend to go on to finish really well. If you start your race by burning up your rear tires, then the problems may very well compound. The revs rise for the standing start, and we are go for the final round of PRL Super Formula. JR Williams loses out in the second phase of acceleration. Michael Diaz is going to get the run on him into turn 1. Will he hold it round the outside of the first turn? He certainly will. The championship leader leads the way into turn 2, and the top 3 have broken away from the rest of the field. Side by side between Arvello and Awad briefly, as they have to get into single file now for the S's.
Single file through the S's coming out of that section. It's still Michael Diaz on top, followed by JR Williams. Looking for battles shaping up in the back of the pack, coming in towards the first hairpin. Hearing word that Cristobal has spun around. We'll get a replay of that here shortly. But coming into the backstretch here, JR going for a move.
Oh, Diaz running a little bit wide at the hairpin there, and Williams almost got him, but it wasn't quite enough. So let's see what he can do. Williams immediately on the overtake button. He is using it nice and early to get back into the race lead. He wants as many points as he can from this round. He doesn't care that Michael Diaz has a championship to win, and I'm sure that Diaz knows that too, and he's absolutely raring, chomping at the bit for a good race here. Side by side for the lead through this section. Great battling here on lap 1. Diaz is just going to slip through there, back into second. Pablo Valenzuela Uribe almost cleaned him up on the exit.
Yeah, at this point, Diaz doesn't care whether he crashes or not. He knows, regardless, with only 21 cars here, the championship is his. So he's going to put on a fight to see if he can win this final race of the season. But JR doing a superb job of holding him off there and getting back around after losing it on the opening half of this lap.
So on push to pass is Diaz. He goes again for the move at turn 1. It widens on entry. They almost come together in the middle of the corner, but round the outside, the exit is better for JR Williams. This is going to be a fight to the very end, I think. You know, the tyres are fresh, the tyres are hot, and there's full power coming out of these cars down the straights. This battle for the top 3 is going to be immense, but it's not the only thing going on out here on track. Frankie Arvello's trying to keep Boris Ovando and David Sirrar behind him for 5th place in amongst all of this. It's going to be a long race here, 26 laps on the cards here, all 45 minutes. Replay of what happened to Cristobal Valenzuela, and it looks like he just lost it by himself there.
Yeah, just trying to avoid getting side-by-side contact with the car to his outside there, and looks like he just locked it up ever so slightly to whip the car around. Fortunately, no damage, so he'll continue on. Getting word that Neil Alexander is out of this race. We'll have to check and see what caused that here in a few moments, but the battle for the lead still hot and heavy right now with Diaz looking for a way to get around JR Williams.
Yeah, massive battling going on through this section of the circuit, and I tell you what, I'm wondering how long JR Williams is going to be able to hold on to this lead, because Diaz is certainly one of the quickest drivers in this field. And speaking of quick, how about this battle with some fantastic runnings going on into the final corner? Just ahead of them, Sirrar almost passed Boris Ovando, but was unsuccessful. So we've got Alex Gouillon and Jeff Groff fighting over 8th spot, and then Blake Ziti is leading up this pack of cars. Pulling out is Christian Jasper here, try and get past Steve Baker, and is unsuccessful in getting past him. This is a fantastic fight here. Jeff Groff actually doing quite well right now.
And you know who I don't see up there, Reese, is Jake Vasconcelos. He lost out on a few spots during that opening first couple sectors, because he was right there side by side with Christian Jasper on the start.
Yeah, he certainly was. We'll see what happened to Neil Alexander. Meanwhile, looks like he was just had an unfortunate wheel spin moment here and spun right into the wall. The right side of the car was destroyed. No wonder he's retired from there.
Yeah, it's a frustrating moment for Neil, for sure. Really unfortunate. Tires are still coming up the temperature. Just got on the gas a little too heavy, and away she went.
On board with Steve Baker here is that's Ziti running wide there, coming into the slow section of the circuit. So that's another position up there for Steve Baker. He was already still in the position he started in, but now up 1 spot. If you're interested in the most positions gained, you got to look further down in the field. It's Barry Cochran in 17th, who's gained 3 spots there, largely due to the spin for Cristobal Valenzuela and the retirement for Neil Alexander. End of lap 2 for this group, and on the recharge right now is Michael Diaz, and I've got to say, Diaz is starting to lose out, but losing out even more is Pablo Valenzuela. He almost got into the back of Diaz coming into turn 1, but then had a huge slide, and now Victor Awad's all over the back of him through the S's.
Yeah, Victor staring down the gearbox of Pablo right now, coming through the S's. It's a really tricky section to really, stick close with the car ahead because of the aero push you get from not having all the air on your car. But he keeps it close. Maybe he'll look to have a go at it coming down the backstretch into the hairpin.
Yeah, potentially. Got to nail the throttle application, maybe use some overtake while you're at it. This is one of the tracks where I think it'll be paramount to use the overtake system. It seems like Awad's just a bit too far away right now. Oh no, looks like Brett Thurman having a spin at that hairpin coming onto the back straight, and he's having trouble getting the car turned around too. Looks like the inside rear was spinning up. Meanwhile, Carl Strykars has made his way past Evander Jonesyfield, and that is the battle for 13th place sorted out for the time being. Good job there from Strykars. looking a bit further up, Alex Guillon and Steve Baker. Jeff Groff has absolutely driven away from this group.
Yeah, when you get cars side by side battling it out, it tends to allow the car ahead to pull away ever so slightly while they are playing defense and offense. But it looks like they're getting it settled as Frankie and Boris are fighting into turn 1 here. Boris ahead going into the corner, and I think Frankie's going to let him go.
Yeah, Boris on a bit of a recovery drive here. Qualifying didn't quite go to plan for him, and he's been struggling to make up positions since then. But now that the race is in its rhythm, I thinkOvando's got what it takes to try and catch up to Awad, Uribe and Diaz, who are still locked together for second place. JR Williams has gotten a fantastic gap over the rest of the field at the moment, about a second's worth. Unfortunately, it looks like some technical issues for Pablo. We'll have to wait and see how that works out for him. But this group is now into the hairpin at the end of the straight. This is Boris Ovando still trying to keep Frankie Arvello behind him. David Syrah is coming, though, and we know how fast he is.
Yeah, David, very quick driver. And, excuse me. David positioned only 2 cars behind Boris right now, and that's going to keep David second in the championship fight right now. Boris is 4 points coming into this race behind David in the championship standings for P2. So with David right there, if he can keep Boris in his sights, he'll claim P2 in the championship standings.
He certainly will. So that means Boris needs to pick up the pace somehow, but do the tyres have it in them to help him out with that? Alex Guillon and Steve Baker, meanwhile, on board with Baker in the battle for 9th spot. This is for second place in the AM class. Currently, Jeff Groff is having a fantastic race in the AM class lead. He had some really good races at the start of the season as well, but kind of fell off the wagon in the middle phase of this inaugural season of PRL Super Formula. But he's doing quite well at COTA, leaving the other 2 to fight over the scraps on the podium. David Syrah now up behind, well, actually he's past Frankie Arvello there. And look at the gap that Ovando has already gotten over them. It seems like Baker just, it seems that Arvello had some problems in the initial part of the lap there.
Yeah, David was able to get around Frankie, so that'll help David as far as the championship goes, and we'll have to see if David can run down Boris to get around him. Meanwhile, out front, JR Williams is starting to pull away from Diaz. He's got an 0.8 of a second lead over Diaz, with Pablo only a couple tenths behind Diaz. Pablo really turning on the pressure with Diaz.
Yeah, Valenzuela on the recharge for overtake. JR Williams still holding on to that crucial gap. It was up to a second when I'd looked at it last. He has lost a couple of tenths, but I mean, they're still really well matched on this lap, so it's a battle of the timesheets for the lead of the race. And once again, we are only 6 laps into this race, about to come around the line to start lap 7, and it seems like there's a lot more trouble for Diaz than there is for Williams right now, as we're hearing Dave Peterson has towed back to pits. There's been a problem for him somewhere, just pulled over off the side of the circuit. So, I mean, he didn't look as prepared for this round as he has for others anyway, so it makes sense. Regardless, keep our eyes peeled on the front of the field, near enough for Michael Diaz. He's struggling to get away from Valenzuela here.
Yeah, Pablo's really keeping in tow very nicely with Diaz. Not letting Diaz get away. But meanwhile, he's pulled away from Victor behind. Victor last lap was right all over Pablo's gearbox, but Victor has fallen off just a hair.
Yeah, I've been watching Victor on my end, and he's been having some trouble getting the optimum rotation in the car for the hairpins. It's been kicking out on him a little bit. He's on overtake right now and trying to catch back up to this battle between Diaz and Valenzuela Uribe, but unsuccessful for the time being. And you can see he's only a dot in this view, but Boris Ovando is approaching. He's actually starting to make himself a factor in the battle for the top 5.
Well, I was actually going to suggest to our producer to pull a 180 on the on-car camera because, well, Michael Diaz is running down JR. He's brought it back down to within 4 to 5 tenths, except he didn't lose out. Just the timing was looking a little funky right there. He's down to 3 tenths behind JR. He's there.
Ooh. Yeah, he certainly is. Diaz has had a fantastic final section of the lap there. It's so difficult to keep the rhythm up. Look at how much Diaz gained in Sector 3. 3 tenths of a second. Fantastic stuff from Diaz, showing exactly why he's in the championship lead right now. He can back off for a little bit, save the tires, and when it's time to apply, he certainly applies well. Let's see if he can make any moves in the S's. It's difficult. These cars being high-level open-wheelers, dirty air is a factor, so you might as well wait for the straight for any attempt at a move.
And I think Pablo had a little bit of a lockup there coming out of the kink. But I was going to say he was in the catbird seat, but now he's under attack from Victor.
He tried to block the advance there from Victor Awad, who gets up the inside at the hairpin and nails the exit as well, but immediately responding is Pablo Valenzuela Uribe. He's onto the overtake button. Extra power will see him sweep past down the straight, but both of them have lost crucial time to the battle for the top 2. Diaz is still right on the back of Williams, and now Boris Ovando is right here with the battle for 4th place. This is looks like no matter where you look at the front of this field, there is a fight.
Yeah, the fights are definitely brewing up here in the top 5, that's for sure. Right before Pablo had his little hiccup, I was going to say he's in the catbird seat with being the only one of the top 3 not on the push-to-pass recovery. So I was looking forward to seeing him push it on the backstretch there, but unfortunately he had that little hiccup.
Certainly did. Let's see what Ovando can do. In the bottom right, we have our battle for the lead. J.R. Williams gaining a little on Diaz on the front straight of the circuit. Boris Ovando trying to make some gains on Victor Awad, but not working. Coming into turn 1, looks like Ovando had to have a couple of goes at the steering there. He was having trouble keeping the rear end in check. Something you need to be careful of at this circuit. You need good rotation for the S's, but when it comes to the slower corners, it's very easy to slide.
Yeah, the slower corners in these cars are not your friend. That's where you rely mostly on your mechanical grip. But these cars, are mostly dependent on aero grip, so they prefer the higher speed corners.
Things seem to have calmed down in both these battles for the time being, but if anyone is able to get on the overtake button, well, they'll certainly want to at this point. You have to wait 100 seconds in between applications of overtake, and guess how long a lap at COTA is? A bit over 100 seconds. So it's we're expecting drivers to use overtake in the same places lap after lap, if not wait a little bit to apply it in another section. Basically, it's either the start-finish straight or the back straight that you're going to be seeing drivers using it. David Syrah now trying to catch up to Boris Ovando, who, despite his advances a little earlier, has not been able to pass Awad or Uribe. He's lost quite a bit in the last couple of laps.
Yeah, down 2.5 seconds now behind Michael Diaz is Pablo, and about another 7 to 8 tenths behind him is Victor. Just to all you viewers out there, I want to point your attention to the leaderboard just to the right of the timing. You can see the push-to-pass seconds left for each driver, and it looks like Kyle Strykar's down in 13th has been the heaviest of him so far, down to 129 seconds left.
Yeah, just over 2 minutes worth to use over the rest of the race. Boris Ovando's looking good, 185 seconds remaining. Evander Jonesyfield hasn't used any push to pass at all, so maybe look for him to make some advances later on in the race. 26 laps on the board here, and remains to be seen whether or not we'll actually go the distance or end up going time certain. But, you know, there's still plenty of time to make use of that extra power. Williams holding on to 6/10 lead over Diaz. It's gradually decreasing as Diaz sits in the slipstream. Now this is the sector where Diaz seems to be superior. We'll see how much he catches up by the end of the lap. No changes meanwhile in the battle for third. See how much more pinpoint accurate Diaz is through this section. He's straight lining a lot of these corners. He's making it to the apex a bit quicker than Williams is.
Yeah, but Williams still managing to hold him off very well. I don't know if widening the corners like Williams is doing is what's helping him get those better runs over Diaz, with Diaz having the narrower approach. But it's definitely two different driving styles, and it's putting on a great show for us tonight here at COTA.
It absolutely is. We're nearly at the halfway point of the race, and currently Williams gaining something back on Diaz. He's managed to gain basically net 1/10 over that last lap. We'll see if there's anything left with Diaz to respond with, and it's amazing seeing the speed that they carry through these S's, especially with those little orange anti-cut speed humps at the apexes. They can play havoc with the suspension. Honestly, I'm surprised no one's hit any of those yet.
Yeah, it is surprising because they're not easy to miss. I mean, if you hit those things, it'll send you flying.
Yeah, I think we've both had plenty of experience with that, and it'll certainly do a number on the suspension as well. Looks like a little bit more pace is at hand here for David Syrah. Let's see if he can pass Boris Ovando coming into the hairpin. Ovando was defensive, but gives him a bit of space. Gets on the brakes a little later and makes it to the apex first. Syrah will be frustrated with that. He had the chance to make the move, but Ovando was just braver in the braking zone.
Braver and pinching him down all the way down to the left side lane. And so David would have been really out of position for that corner and disadvantaged.
Yeah, much tighter line for him to take, and probably the smartest to back out. But he needs a better exit from the hairpin next time by if he wants to get this move done. Ovando has been struggling to keep up for the last few laps. The gap to Victor Awad has grown to about 2.3 seconds for fourth place. So I don't know if Ovando has got anything left in the metaphorical tank for a run at a podium here.
I don't know. I feel like we've seen Boris in further back situations than this before and seen him manage to pull off a podium. We'll just have to wait and see. There's still a long ways to go. Like you said, about halfway left in this race. So anything is still possible.
Yeah, don't forget that Syrah and Ovando are fighting over second in the Pro Drivers' Championship, and JR Williams is trying his best to stake his claim for a position up at the top. He was running in the championship top 3 for most of the season, has fallen to 5th thanks to some poor results relative to his championship rivals in the last few rounds. We'll see if Diaz will be able to get past him. It's all on Williams to hold off the championship leader here, and we're seeing battles almost everywhere you look. 2 by 2 by 2, all in the top 6.
Yeah, they seem to be spreading out a little bit, but they seem to be grouping up into pairs. Just about a 2-second gap between each of them. Each of the pairs, that is. But it's making for some really exciting stuff.
Indeed it is. Some very exciting battling going on here as we're about to reach the 13th lap here. JR Williams widens the entry into the final corner, and Diaz on recharge for overtake. JR Williams can use overtake at this point, but I think he's doing the smart thing. He's waiting for the back straight, and even waiting a little longer than that for his next application. He's got the lead, he's got the pace, doesn't need to burn up all of his extra power just yet.
No need to really rush into anything here. Just kind of settle in, let the race come to you. Still a long ways to go. You're still within striking distance of the car ahead, so just kind of mind your P's and Q's, watch the off tracks, and wait till later in the race to make your move.
See what David Sirach can do. Chasing down Boris Ovando for the last position in the top 5. They're only separated by 4 points. And, I mean, Sirach at this point, even if he does pass Ovando, will still keep second in the championship, and he draws alongside as Diaz goes for the lead, and he makes it stick. Diaz is now the leader after so long following JR Williams. Let's see if Williams has anything to fight back with. Sirach has made it through on Ovando, so that's one more little hurdle for Ovando to overcome, trying to get second in the standings. What has Williams got versus Diaz?
Yeah, Diaz with a great move coming into the final hairpin off the backstretch to get the move done. Coming on to the front stretch now. And Diaz is just going to pull a little further away from him. Neither one of these drivers are on push to pass right now.
Well, that's deep under brakes there for JR Williams, but he manages to woe it up at the apex of turn 1 nicely. He's sticking with Diaz. You know what I think Diaz has done here? He was hanging behind Williams for quite some time and probably saving up his tyres for that maneuver. The tyres do last a while in these cars, and we don't expect drivers to pit for tyres in these races. But if you can save the tyres, cool them down, you'll be able to gear up for moves like this. He was on overtake, got alongside in the braking zone, wasn't entirely alongside when they got there, but to the inside he went, and Williams gave him the room.
I'm a little bit surprised there that Williams didn't try to defend, as Williams is on push to pass, lining up a pass in the same corner that he got passed in last lap.
Well, back into the lead for JR Williams. They briefly make contact there. Williams' rear wheel was brushed by Diaz's front wing, and they're going to maintain side by side through the stadium section, almost banging wheels as they make their way through the S-bend. Williams is back in the lead of the race, and he's on overtake. He is using it in the third sector here. He's trying to gain on Diaz. But has he burnt up his tyres too much? Will Diaz come back at him coming into the first turn?
What really helped Diaz stay in that fight there after getting past was JR just went a little too late into the braking zone and cut across the nose of Diaz, which allowed for a little bit of an over-under as Diaz makes a move into turn 1.
Yep, to the inside he goes. He will be first to the apex, but the cutback from JR Williams, that is exactly what you want to see from Williams. He is executing this battle really well. He's showing Diaz that he's not going to make it easy.
That was a beautiful over-under maneuver from Williams. Recognized the situation, backed out early, and cut under Diaz as he drove a little bit too deep into the corner. This is brilliant stuff.
Yeah, fantastic battling we're seeing at the front of this field here. And we've still got over 10 laps of the race to go as Diaz almost gets into the back of JR Williams there. Very late on the brakes for Diaz. Does he have enough momentum to go for a move again into this turn? He's in the slipstream. He's gaining. But by the time they get to the braking zone, Williams will still be a little bit ahead. Diaz does go for the move, though. Williams lets him through. And again, it's the cutback. They're just playing around right now.
These guys are having fun. It's high intensity, but it's fun.
And it's costing them. Look at Victor Awad and Pablo Valenzuela. They've caught right up to them now.
Hey, that's not costing us anything. That's gaining for us. That's great.
Indeed, a four-car battle for the top 4 positions in the race, and Pablo Valenzuela Uribe will be licking his lips seeing this battling between J.R. Williams and Michael Diaz. He now has a chance to go further up onto the podium and potentially for the win. What about Victor Awad as well? He's been desperately searching for a great result in this series, and he's gotten there a couple of times, but this will be his last chance for this season. Of course, we have to remind you all that sign-ups for the next season of racing at the Precision Racing League are now open, so you can be a part of this.
Yeah, please come on out and join the PRL. Get in on the fun and exciting action that we have each and every week here at the Precision Racing League. Another aspect of this battle coming up here shortly, Reese, is just ahead of Diaz is Brett Thurman. He's going to be the first back marker that these guys are going to come up on, and it's going to be interesting to see where they get to him at, as Pablo's on push to pass behind J.R. Williams.
Yep, overtake button pressed, and he's got the momentum. Will Williams defend? He won't. Valenzuela's going to go for it, but wow, they're so late on the brakes. Williams is trying desperately to hold on to the position, and he does. He maintains the outside line. He doesn't want to lose second.
No, for good reason. He needs this race to, I don't think needs to necessarily prove anything to anyone, but for his own self-confidence to have a good, clean finish. Here's a quick replay of Blake Ziti.
Bit too much curb there at the end of the S's.
Yeah, it's very easy to do. Fortunate no one was around him and he didn't make contact with anything.
Yeah, indeed. So easy to lose the rear end of these cars through such tightening corners as that. Well, on board here with Pablo Valenzuela Uribe, who we've talked to a few times in podium interviews so far this season. He's certainly capable of winning races in this championship if everything comes together, and he might just have a chance to steal one at the final round if Williams and Diaz come together again. Williams has turned up the aggression once more, and he's trying to gather speed and have a run at Diaz, but you see the difference in lines here. Diaz, I think, executing the S is a little better. He's focusing on the exit from the whole complex.
Yeah, he's doing a really great job of just hitting his marks, not making any twitchy moments. Honestly, all three of these drivers are doing a superb job.
Well, noticing that David Sirar's starting to catch up to these guys as well. Look at him there at the back.
Cue the Jaws theme song.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be a great battle to the end of the race. 10 laps to go, 9 when they cross the line next. They are all together through the stadium section. Michael Diaz is doing a good enough job right now of holding on to this lead. He's focusing on his exits, focusing on traction. He's managing to get it done. What Williams needs to do is just back off a little bit through the S's, try and preserve some life in those front tyres, and he can have a proper run at Diaz from there. It's happened before, it can happen again.
Yeah, and looking at the push-to-pass times, the best suited right now are going to be Pablo and Victor in 3rd and 4th. They've got about 30 seconds more push-to-pass than their leaders.
Yeah, so look for them to really start to dial up the aggression in the latter stages of the race. Sirar, meanwhile, yeah, he's looking pretty good too. 142 seconds left, and he's going to be gearing something up on Victor Awad on this lap, I think. Looks like the top 3 have started to come together here. Meanwhile, Awad dropping back a little into Sirar, so maybe David can use that slipstream to vault himself forward a little further. Remains to be seen. It's on for second here. Diaz once again gaining as Williams hangs back, maybe preserves the tyres a little bit for another run at the lead of the race. He got a better exit coming out of the hairpin than Pablo Valenzuela Uribe, but Pablo is in the slipstream and maintaining the gap. He's not close enough for a maneuver at this stage, but he gains and gains a little more in the braking zones. There was a big lunge behind by Victor Awad to try and make up some time, but of course he's going to be using up his tyres a little more as well.
Yeah, at this point, it's going to be who can manage all of their assets the most here between your tires, your push to pass, excuse me, and etc. So, coming through the sweeping right-hander into the final 2 corners of the track. Pablo just cutting a little bit too much of the curve there. Almost got his car looped around. A little happy on the rear end coming out of the last corner as well. That's going to cost him any chance at a run down the front stretch.
Williams was wide through the final corner though, so there's potential here for a move, but not into turn 1. Cars still too far apart here, and there's definitely not going to be any passes in the S's. You're going flat out on the way into these corners, then lifting, tapping the brakes, going down a gear, just trying to maintain rotation. Make sure you have as much air going over your front wing as possible, as it looks like David Sirah has found his way past Victor Awad there. There's been a problem for Victor.
Oh no, Victor was having such a good run. He's going to just go ahead and cut the track there. Didn't want to pull up in front of Boris and cause any issues there. Here's a replay. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, so making his way into the long right-hander. It looks like the grip of the fronts just goes. I'm not too sure what's going on there for Victor Awad, but he's gotten back up to speed. It just seems like he wasn't able to steer enough to the right. That's interesting.
I'm wondering if he had some kind of an equipment malfunction there, because that was a very odd scenario there for Victor.
It certainly was. He's fallen back to 6th place and has just gotten back past Frankie Arvello there. But that's a heavy blow for Victor Awad. Was looking at a potential podium, but now that's nowhere in his sights with 8 laps to go.
Yeah, really unfortunate for Victor. He's having a great run there in P4, keeping steady with the top guys here. But unfortunately, like you said, he's out of the fight now.
Here's a move. Cristobal Valenzuela had problems on lap 1, makes his way past Evander Jonesyfield and up into 14th place. Could be looking at Jake Vasconcelos in the next couple of laps as well. Vasconcelos was the AM Championship leader coming into this round, and it looks to me like he might just hold on to it. Christian Jasper is only 2 spots ahead of him, and I don't think that's enough to make up the, I think it was a 12-point gap between them. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Awad, meanwhile, getting past Boris Ovando, who's had an issue through the S's this time.
And we're going to get a quick replay. It looks like just kissed that curb on the left there. Great job to hang on to it, but you can see how those little turtle curbs really upset the cars.
Indeed, it was just a slight tap, and you know, in a touring car or a GT car, you'd be able to hold on to that, but in an open wheeler like this one, you are going for a wild ride. So Ovando now once again all the way back into 8th place. He's down 3 from where he started, and Alex Guyon is going to fancy a move at him here. Ovando is later on the brakes though, should maintain the position here. And that little bit of side-by-side is given a chance for Steve Baker to break into the top 9. This is another entertaining battle that we're seeing, not to mention the front of the field. It looks like J.R. Williams has caught back up to Michael Diaz.
Yeah, I think JR is going to fancy a move here down the front stretch into turn 1 if he can get the traction out of the last corner here. Looks like he does. He is on the push to pass, it looks like, and he is going to fancy a chance at Mr. Diaz up here into turn 1.
Yeah, he was just a little bit wide coming through the last corner, though. Diaz able to get into the apex a bit better as Victor Awad has come into the pit lane. So that tells us that that is indeed a technical issue that Awad has. And I don't know if we're going to be seeing any more of him in this race. That's such a shame for Victor Awad. He was right up with these guys, the top 3 now together. David Sirah will fancy a chance at a podium with 1 less car to pass.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to want to say bumper to bumper for these guys. Normally I would, being such a big NASCAR buff myself. But I guess I'll go ahead and say wing to wing.
Yeah, exactly. Wing to wing in these cars, and sometimes that's a little bit closer than you'd like because these things are mighty fragile. Coming down the front, the back straight, It seems like Diaz has gained a little more, but you see how much later on the brakes Williams and Uribe are. I mean, they're just taking everything out of these braking zones to try and stay with Diaz. That's a bit deep there for Pablo. Manages to avoid cleaning up JR Williams, but man, the one thing that I do love about this circuit, Mark, is the fact that multiple lines work through that section. For a moment, it looked like Uribe was going to lose out, but he was able to keep pace.
Yeah, and Pablo right now really struggling with the rear grip on that car. But you know that's going to make JR nervous with how close he got to that rear end of his car, especially after a couple of times this season being taken out from behind like that.
Yeah, indeed. I remember back at the Portimao round, JR Williams was fighting with Steve Baker, and unfortunately they came together. That was the end of what could have been a great result for Williams, but he wants to hold on here. He's going to try and fend off Uribe and attack Diaz. Only 5 laps to go for PRL Super Formula, the first season of this new championship, and what a debut for a series it has been. It's been non-stop drama and action all the way through. It looks like we are going to go to time, but I think we'll be able to get all 26 laps in on a quick mental maths calculation.
It'll be very tight as Pablo lining up a pass on JR with the push to pass activated. I don't know why I'm struggling with that, Reese.
Oh, there we go. He's done it. Oh, he's gotten up the inside into the corner and up into P2 for Pablo Valenzuela Uribe. But he locks up coming into the right-hander. That might give a chance for Williams to get back past. It's defensive, though, on the inside. Williams will go wide on entry, narrow on exit to try and keep the momentum up. But he's off the top 2, still on the podium. Will David Sirard be able to catch him here?
Yeah, David is definitely the closest he's been in recent laps. He did fall back just a little bit with the issue from Victor. I think it just got David a little nervous. But David is definitely back in this fight with all the battling that they've been doing up here at the front.
Yeah, what a season it's been for David Sirard as well. You know, we talked earlier in the broadcast about his mammoth run at Suzuka. It was a perfect round for him. Pole, win, fastest lap, led every lap. It was a true hat trick for David Sirard, as Boris Ovando, we're hearing, has come into the pit lane now. And, well, you don't see these cars visiting pit lane unless it's some big issue. So I think Ovando might just be saying goodbye to this race. His run at P2 in the championship now well and truly over. That brings up the question then, with Uribe now in second, has he got enough points to get into third in the championship?
I'm gonna have to look up the point difference here real quick there for you, Reese. Let's see. It looks like 9 points.
Ovando's come back out in 10th spot. So difference between second and 10th in points is what we're looking for.
It's going to be very close. Let's give me a lap or two. I'll figure it out.
No worries. While you're working on that, we'll keep an eye on this top 4 battle, because Uribe is now looking at the win, let alone second place. I mean, he was looking very aggressive on Diaz through the slow section there, but again, it looks like Diaz just focusing on the exits is paying off for him. He's gaining where he needs to on the acceleration zones out of corners. Doesn't matter how aggressive you are on brakes. If your rival gets a better run out of the corner than you do, there's nothing you can do. And out of the final corner, Diaz continues to hit that. He was fastest car of the top 4 as things stand. 0.2 faster than anyone else, but Uribe holds on to the fastest valid lap of the race.
Yeah, and Pablo had a major wheel spin issue out of that last corner there, Tom. Had to whip it back and forth a few times to get the traction down. But I did go ahead and figure out that points difference there for you between second place and 10th place in the standings. It's a difference of 11 points, Reese.
Oh, and it's a It's that's an 8-point difference in the championship between Ovando and Valenzuela. So if Pablo can hold on to this, he's got third in the championship. It's all on now.
Yeah, Boris would just need to pass a few cars to try and counteract that, but he is 8 seconds behind 9th place of Christian Jasper, who's a further 11.5 seconds behind 8th. So that's going to be very difficult with 3 laps to go there, Reese.
Yeah, not much time left to make those moves, and the laws of physics, even in a simulator, will not allow you to do that, as Pablo is very loose here at the end of this section. He might lose second spot to JR Williams, but I think if he does finish on the podium, he'll still be able to hold on to third place in the championship over Boris Ovando. We'll have to wait and see on that. And also keep an eye on Syrah, because he is right behind JR Williams, who we ride on board with 2 laps to go in PRL Super Formula Season 1.
Yeah, Pablo just needs to hold on to it for now. And because his tires are definitely heated up right now, because he just is really struggling to get the power down in them rear tires. He is wheeling it like crazy.
Yeah, indeed. Doesn't want to burn up the tires too much, because he needs something to fight with at the end. It's the main thing in these cars. Once again, you don't pit usually in these races, and if you got to pit for tires, then you've really messed up somewhere. The AM class win there in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. It is on here between Jeff Groff and Alex Guyon. They're currently in 6th spot overall, so there's a lot left to play for here. Guyon, of course, part of the Lavoie Motorsports team with David Syrah, so we know he's got a good car under him. And Uribe is trying on Diaz here. He's geared up. He is ready to fight for the win.
Yeah, Pablo's definitely been showing that he's the fastest car. It's whether or not he can keep the traction with the
too wide,
the drive
too
off.
wide.
Yeah, a little wide there. That's going to cost him. He got a slow car out on the left there, out into the paint, but he's just getting out of the way. Good sportsmanship from that driver.
Yeah, it looks like that was Evander Jonesyfield, who's actually got quite a bit of damage on that car. The front right is askew on the number 24, so we'll be seeing him tour into the pits and potentially retire from the race. The white flag is out, and look at that. All of the top 4 are using their overtake down the front straight. It's going to be one of the last chances they have to use it, and they are using all of that extra power. They've got enough extra power to be able to do the whole lap on overtake. This is going to be an intense final lap. Diaz is getting away from 2nd and 3rd here. Uribe versus Williams versus Syrah. It's a battle for 2nd.
And Uribe really sent it through the S's, made up quite a bit of time on Diaz. Diaz taking it a little bit more casual-like. But Uribe, with everything to lose here, just pushing really hard.
Yeah, and look at Jasper versus, look at Groff versus Guyon in the bottom right. They are closer than they've ever been, and Steve Baker is now with them. It's a 3-way battle for the AM class win, coming to the end of the backstretch for the final time. Diaz has been saving up all of this momentum. He's got the lead that he needs. Got one more lapped car to negotiate before the end of the lap in the form of Barry Cochran. We'll have to wait and see who gets the best run out of these corners. Down the back straight, the AM win is on. Groff is going to hold off Guyon into the stadium section. But does Guyon have anything in him to take the AM class win on the final lap? Just a couple of corners to go, meanwhile, for Michael Diaz, who has driven an incredible season. His run of podiums. He's the only driver to finish in the top 3 at every round this season. And out of the final corner, he will come to crown himself PRL Super Formula Champion.
Meanwhile, the fight is on for the AM win. Guyon coming into the last corner right now, sends it on the car ahead. Not enough there. Give the win to Jeff Groff.
Excellent job from Jeff Groff there, up from 10th spot to 6th. Brilliant drive and a well-deserved AM class win there. But Looks to me like Jake Vasconcelos will be coming to the line momentarily, and I think he's going to be the one to gain the AM Class Championship from this one. All he needs to do is get to the line. Christian Jasper has already crossed the line, but there's not enough of a difference in position for it to make any difference in the points total. Boris Ovando will take the fastest lap on the final lap there. Only driver to get into the 43.3s in this race. But everyone take your hats off for Jake Vasconcelos. He was consistent. He hasn't always been up there in terms of position, but consistency of finishes was key, and it looks like he'll take the AM Class Championship.
Yeah, great job by all these drivers tonight, Reese. Really great show was put on. As expected, they've been doing awesome every round this season. I don't think we could have asked for a better debut to any season in the PRL.
Yeah, this has been a fantastic season all the way through, and I'm really hoping that this series will continue. The last finisher is going to be Barry Cochran, who has been here at most, if not all rounds. One of the drivers to really commit to this season. Well done to Barry Cochran. Hasn't always been the fastest guy out there, but he's gotten to the checkered flag, which is certainly an achievement in and of itself. Let's go through our results then from the final race of the season. Michael Diaz capping off his championship with a win, 6/10 ahead of Pablo Valenzuela Uribe. JR Williams is going to finish in third, and with that second place finish, Valenzuela Uribe will likely take third in the championship. David Sirra will finish in the top 4. Frankie Arvello rounding out the top 5. Good run there from Arvello, up 2 positions. Jeff Groff makes up 4 to take the AM Class victory ahead of Alex Guyon and Steve Baker. Christian Jasper will finish 9th overall, with Boris Ovando suffering an issue and having to visit the pits. Looks like he went to the pits to change tyres and get the fastest lap there.
And starting off in 11th is Jake Vasconcelos, your AM Class champion for the inaugural season of the Super Formula Series. 12th place will be Cristobal Valenzuela. Hugo Galaz in 13th. Barry Cochran, your final finisher, in 14th. Blake Ziti was 15th. Evander Jonesyfield was 16th. And might I add, the only one with a Star-Spangled Patriotic paint for COTA. Victor Aoud for 17th, Kyle Stryker is 18th, Brett Thurman 19th, Dave Peterson rounding out your top 20, and that was one more car would be Neil Alexander rounding out your 21 car field.
Yeah, indeed. Neil Alexander, unfortunately, out in the very early stages of the race here. Well, we get a look at Evander Jonesyfield's paint there. Really love it. Fantastic piece of paint work right there. Well, we're going to go to our driver interviews, and I think an appropriate driver to speak to first would be the winner of the race and the winner of the championship, Michael Diaz. You are the inaugural PRL Super Formula champion. You kept your podium streak going to the very final round. You must be happy with your performance.
Oh, absolutely. I wasn't expecting it to win at the start of the championship. I was kind of struggling with the car. But then thanks to Boris and the guys, Frankie, Steve, I kind of clicked and managed to keep it consistent and got the chip. So yeah, it feels good.
Absolutely, especially with that titanic battle with JR Williams in the early stages. He got pole position, but you seem to be a little bit faster and more consistent on race pace. You certainly had to work for that lead though.
Oh yeah, for sure. These guys were quick today. I think the setup was better on race pace than low fuel runs, and I seem to manage to capitalize on that and managed to bring it home P1. But it was an awesome battle with JR and even Pablo there at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic battle for the top 3, even the top 4 with David Sirra in there. Well, moving forward to next season, sign-ups are open, and considering your success in this series so far, I'm imagining that you and the rest of Precision Racing Esports are going to have another run at this.
I think the other guys are. I unfortunately won't be available for half the championship, so I don't think it's worth signing up. But we'll see. Maybe things change and I could make it a late entry like I did this season. But for now, it's not looking like I'll come back for next season. But hopefully the one after.
Well, chance that the title might go undefended, and we'll might see another make their way into the top of the standings. But regardless, it is yours for now, Michael. Big congratulations from us here at RaceSpotTV. Thanks for coming in with a chat to us, and yeah, well done, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to you guys for the broadcast every night, and a huge shout out to our sponsor, Soltec, for the support they provide us with setups and all that. So yeah, shout out to those guys, my direct teammate Boris, Steve, and Frankie. And yeah, I guess that's it. I'll see you next season or not. Maybe, I don't know. Let's see.
I'm sure you'll be around somewhere, Michael. That's Michael Diaz, the champion for the inaugural season of PRL Super Formula. Second place on the road was Pablo Valenzuela Uribe, and Mark Kalin has stood by with him.
Well, Pablo, congratulations on second place tonight here at Circuit of the Americas. It was a really hard-fought battle between you and JR, and you were really catching Diaz there those closing laps. Walk us through what you needed just a little bit extra of to be able to get that victory.
Yeah, this time was, I think, the most close car that I have to fight with the guys in the front. I know Michael is a little more relaxed for the championship and all, but anyways, it's always hard to fight with him at any moment, you know. Even if he doesn't have the car, he will be competitive as hell. So, but today the car was amazing, but I don't know why. I mean, maybe something in the session that at middle of the stint, the car was pretty fast, but it started to get so loose. The car was very fast, but too loose. So and was very strange because it was in the slow corners, you know. So I don't know, it was really hard to predict, but if you keep the pace, it was pretty fast car and could be in touch with the guys. Yeah, that's kind of it. And all the fights with the ER too, he was in amazing pace, and just was the moment, the opportunity was there, but has been a long season-long fight with him. Nice fight with the guys.
Yes, and we enjoyed watching every single battle that you put on for us this season with the Super Formula inaugural season of the PRL. Do you have plans on attending for next season's championship?
Yeah, sure. The plans are there, so we are just waiting how all the podium is going to be, but I will be there for the next season for sure. With final.
Well, we just got word that it's possible Michael Diaz may not be able to attend next season, so we're going to be counting on you to fill those shoes and fight for the championship.
Oh, thanks a lot. But there's always someone else. You always have to, if you want to win any kind of championship, I think you always have to push, like, always going to be someone with really good pace and all. So we will see. We will see. I hope that we can do the next championship again.
Well, Pablo, we appreciate you taking the time with us. Before we go on to our third place driver, is anyone you'd like to thank for your performance this season?
Yeah, for sure. I always, as always, I like to thank to my team, Final Lap, to my family, my fiance, Paulina, that's always like supporting, the family that's always watching, and all the guys that make possible to be in the front. And a special thank to GR that GR Williams, because without the push of him, this championship wouldn't be there. So a big thanks to him. It's great to race with him. It's great to organize this championship.
Well, Pablo, we appreciate you. Thank you for coming out and supporting the PRL, and we look forward to seeing you on track next season. And you take it easy, buddy.
Okay, thanks, guys. You too. Thanks for the racecast.
Thank you, Pablo. And coming up next, I believe, is going to be our third place finisher of J.R. Williams, and Reese is standing by with him.
Yeah, JR, good final round from you. Got pole position, and you fought yourself very hard to keep yourself in the top 3.
Yeah, it was an amazing race. Even though I didn't bring home the win, it was probably the most fun race of the season for me. It was a really good time.
Yeah, definitely. This first season of PRL Super Formula it got a great turnout, and participation did dwindle a little bit towards the end of the season, but I think you could still call this first season a roaring success.
Yeah, I'm very happy. Honestly, we didn't have a ton of signups, so the attrition rate was honestly quite good. Everyone showed up, put on a great show. I feel like this is one of the most fun to watch on the broadcast. I'm really surprised with how well the cars ended up racing.
Indeed, and focusing on you for a brief moment, you were certainly up there all the way through the season, missing out on getting the big results, but still, maybe next season going forward, a little bit more time with the car, you can certainly be fighting consistently.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like I'm batting above my iRating a little bit in this car, which is nice. I'm going to try to do GT3 and this car next season, so I'll have to put in the work to be able to be competitive in both. But yeah, I think with some time I can be more competitive.
Well, the fifth position in the championship is yours. So congratulations, JR, and hopefully we get the chance to chat to you many times next season.
Sounds great. Thank you, guys. Thank you for all that you do. It's been a great time.
Certainly has been. And finally, we've got the AM class champion in here with us, Mark, Jake Vasconcelos with us.
Yeah, I got Jake Vasconcelos here. He finished P11 overall in the race tonight, 5th in class of the amateur division, and your inaugural Super Formula season champion. Jake, congratulations. Tell us how you're feeling right now.
Oh man, I feel great. I've been working hard for this, and this is awesome. It's everything I wanted. Didn't have much time to practice for this round. So, just taking it slow and, just watching, Jasper, making sure he wasn't getting too far and just doing math the whole time. But, I had a bad race round 2 in Montreal, and, I had to really keep it clean, but still keep it up there. I'm stoked.
Well, we are stoked for you as well, buddy. Jake, real quick, on the initial start of the race this evening, did something happen to you off the start to cause you to lose a few positions? We noticed that there was quite a few cars between you and Jasper at the start of the race.
Yeah, I usually get a pretty good launch, but I kind of played it safe, and I played it a little too safe, and I dropped the clutch a little too quick. So, I think the auto clutch kicked in, so it was a slow start. I wasn't gonna fight, Jasper too much. I knew, he had to finish maybe 12 places ahead of me unless he was in the top 5. So, I was just making sure I wasn't dropping back too much, making sure, I was getting taken out from people crashing and such. But I'll take it.
Well, you may just have played your cards just right enough because you are the champ. Is there anyone you want to thank for your success this season?
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to thank YS Motorsport and Kevin, my teammate, who didn't make it this last round, but he's been great with helping me with the setups and stuff. All my family and friends for the support. Everyone has been watching me and stuff. My number 2 Wilson, and of course my number 1 fan Courtney. I love you. Thank you.
Well, folks, you heard it first from Jake Vasconcelos, your inaugural Super Formula One season champ of the amateur division. Congratulations to him, and we hope to see him back next season. Well, Reese, that's going to round us out for this Formula One season. What did you think of it, man?
I can't think of any more superlatives to describe this championship. It's been a real pleasure calling the inaugural season of PRL Super Formula, and I hope the championship goes from strength to strength in the future. There is a solid crew of drivers racing in this series, and the action is always fantastic. And if you want to get in on it yourself, remember sign-ups are open for the next season of Precision Racing League. So whether you're a returning driver or a first timer, you'll be able to get in on this action. Go to precisionracingleague.com for more information. Thank you so much to everyone who stuck with us through the whole season here on RaceSpotTV. Big thanks also must go to the sponsors and also to PRL themselves for organizing this whole show in the first place. Certainly was a pleasure to watch. I'm Reese Gardner, Mark Kalin with me in the comms box, Dustin Ollis behind the scenes all season here on RaceSpotTV. We'll see you next time.